Listen, I know you've seen the title, I know you're thinking, what? Don't worry, I am under professional help. Listen, I'm gonna have to do the, like, disclaimer, because no normal person should buy 150 books. I know that. These were bought from a period of, like, October to now. No, September, because I started buying them when I was kind of poorly, so, you know, making poor decisions with my life. And it sort of just escalated. A lot of them were, like, in Christmas sales. Most of them are secondhand, which I feel like redeems me a little bit. So I've got some from Amazon, some from The Works, some from World of Books, which is my absolute new favourite website ever, some from Vinted, and some from Waterstone. So there is a whole array, because I'm trying to understand my reading taste a bit more. So we've got some classics, some modern classics, some fantasy, some romance. There's a whole smorgasbord of words on pages for me to read. That being said, this is going to be the most uninformed, most frustrating book haul you might ever watch, because the way I've piled them up, there are series that are out of order, there are, like, authors that I've bought loads of books from that are, like, miles apart, so I'm going to pull one book out and be like, this is the second book in the series, and the first one is going to come, like, 10 books later, so I'm preparing you for that. No, it's not normal behaviour. It is overconsumption at its core. Don't do what I do. There we go. Unless, of course, you're, like, a multi-millionaire. Then do whatever you want. But I don't really know where to start. This is going to be a long video. I've got a trusty Diet Coke, so I can take on the world. I guess I'll start this side. Why am I nervous to start doing this? I feel like once I put this up on the internet, everyone's going to judge me. And, like, rightly so, because... hello? But also, like... I haven't filmed a video for a very long time. I say it's every time I film a video. I'm going to be starting it properly this time. But, like... I'm not really enjoying seeing my own face at the moment. So, you know, this is a big step for me. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you. Enough of the self-deprecating. Let's start with the smallest book on top. Okay, I got Of Mice and Men by Steinbeck, because, like I said, I really want to get into a lot of modern classic. It's a tiny little penguin book, and I am very excited to read. I can't just keep saying I'm very excited to read all these books, but I am very excited to read all these books, so, like, just take that as a given as we go through. Okay, the next one is All Quiet on the Western Front by Remark. Is that how you say it? You can tell which ones I got from World of Books, because they're a little crusty, a little well-loved, which is part of why I love them so much. But they did, like, a sale that was, like, £3.50 a book, plus buy 3, get the 4th free. So, like, I went what can only be described as apeshit, and that's where I got all these. So this, as far as I know, is about the First World War. That's probably all I want to know going into. Then we have Faulkner, As I Lay Dying. This, I think, won the Nobel Prize. It's got a massive sticker on it, so we'll, like, have to try and get that off. I'm kind of obsessed with these, like, vintage red spine books, so you'll see a lot of them in this haul. This was sold to me as really sad, and I like sad, so there's that. We have The Martian by Andy Weir. This is, like, your standard sci-fi space. I've seen everyone rave about it, so I was like, okay, I'll buy it for £3. I'm not going to say no to that. It is the movie cover. I don't really enjoy having Matt Damon on my bookshelf, but we move. This is White Teeth by Zadie Smith, which I didn't expect to be this big. It's a chunker. I don't really know anything about this, but I know that it's really hyped, and I feel like it's a good place to start if I'm looking to read more, like, lit fic. So The Graduate by Charles Webb, very anti-establishment, part of the counterculture. I'm very excited to read it. Also, I absolutely adore the cover. I think it's so cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to get to this one really soon. The Submission by Michael, I want to say Hulbeck. That's probably really bad pronunciation. I've read one of his books, which, as I mentioned, will be coming up later because none of these are in order. And I enjoyed it. It was very satirical. Kind of uncomfortable. It was, the way he wrote women was kind of strange, but this one seems to be set in the French presidential election, because there's the Eiffel Tower. It's described on the blurb as a suicide note for the West, which kind of gives me the vibe that it's going to be a little bit pretentious, which I like. I'm excited for pretentious. I've bought a whole load of Pynchon's works. This is V, which is, like, one of his most well-known, I feel like. The End of the Affair by Graham Greene. I've had this on my Kindle for the longest time. and it's supposedly like a really heart-wrenching story about obsessive love, and I am quite obsessive over love, so I guess we'll be reading again another class. These are both, yeah, as you can see, kind of obsessed with the Reds buying classics. If I could get an edition of a book I wanted in either this or a Penguin Classics, sold. I was buying it. So this is The Swimming Pool Library by Hollinghurst. This is gay. That's all I know about it. I was told it was gay, and it's kind of like the male version of The Well of Loneliness, and like it's a pioneering gay book, I think, in Britain. This one I've actually read. Can we have a round of applause? Thank you. This is called Look Who's Back by Timo Vermeers, which is... I read it a couple of years ago when I was at university, and it is a satirical look at if Hitler came back. I'm pretty sure it's a movie now. It was originally written in German, it's been translated. Everyone says it's very funny. There are bits of it that are funny, but mostly it was quite scary. Because by the end of it, like, because we see how the modern world would react to Hitler, put it that way, and I feel like it would be a bad time to reread this, like, with the way the world is, so I'm just going to be happy with my one read. I have this thing where if I read a book on my Kindle and I really enjoy it, I then need to own the physical copy, so for £3 I wasn't going to say no. It's also a really cool cover because, like, the title is his moustache and then it's got like the red armband. Because the thing that really worried me about this was that I feel like it's a bit like 1984, where people would read it and take the complete wrong message from it and be like, oh yeah, Hitler will be back because that Hitler's right. Like, that's not the message that we're trying to send here, you know? Please don't clip that out of context, anyone. On a slightly happier note, The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, which is, as far as I know, just a cosy fantasy romance about witches. I love witches. Pretty sure she puts a curse on her ex. And it's quite funny and sweet, and I feel like it'll be a really nice quick read. Then I have The Long Game by Eleanor Armas, which is, I'm pretty sure, a sports romance. I have 2 of her other books, so I was like, okay, I'll get this one. Oh my god, the font is so small. Why is it so small? But yeah, I feel like I will enjoy this. I love sports romance. I love a cartoon cover for a romance. I rest my case. And the next 2, You're So Welcome, are actually in order. Well, sort of. It's These Infinite Threads and All This Twisted Glory by Tahara Mafi. I have the first one and I've been meaning to buy the next 2 for a very long time. And so every time I needed something on Amazon, to, like, instead of paying for shipping, I'd just get it up. So the shipping was free by putting books in my basket, which made financial sense in my mind. It was girl math, okay? But these are really pretty colours as well, and I'm excited to read this trilogy because the first 3 Shetamy books I loved very much, so hopefully I should enjoy these as well. If you follow me on TikTok, the next one is going to be the most unsurprising book you'll ever see me haul. It's Toto Wolff, okay? I didn't have a choice, did I? So basically Matt Wyman followed the Mercedes F1 team around for a season, I think, and he released this book. And first of all, I was always going to buy it because Toto Wolff. And also I really want to get more into non-fiction. I have this idea that I'm going to do a video about non-fiction and about what I want to read, how I feel about the state of like non-fiction on BookTube. If that's something you're interested, well, to be honest, even if you're not interested, I might still film it. It's my channel. But yeah, I don't really know when I'm going to read this. I think I just like owning it, which is not a good thing to say really, but I like having Toto Wolff on my bookshelf, what can I say? And then we have a couple of books that I got in the Waterstones like half price sale they do on Boxing Day. They're all there, so a lot of their hardcovers go on half price. So I got Vilest Things, which for some reason is like signed and an exclusive Waterstones edition, which I didn't even realise when I was buying it because it was literally like £11 for a hardcover. This is the second book in the Flesh and False... Is it Flesh and False Gods? Yes. I have read the first one of Our Violent... whatever it's called. That one. I still need to finish that. I think it's a duology. But I liked Chloe Gong's writing style. I like following Chloe Gong's career. I think she's a super cool person. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pick that one up. Then I have The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley, which has this hollow spine, which is pretty awesome. Truly, I don't really know what this is about other than time travel, and I'm really intrigued by reading more about time travel. So when it was on the sale, I was like, yeah, this is a good time to pick it up. And then a while ago I read Ava Reid's Study in Drowning, and I loved it, and so I got Lady Macbeth by her also, and I studied Macbeth almost every year of secondary school. For some reason it just ended up that way. So I'm quite excited to see a new take on the character of Lady Macbeth. I don't know if it's like fantasy, kind of seems fantasy-ish, but I'm excited for it. That's one stack down. We're so moving. Okay. And the first one on this pile is Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Palahniuk. He wrote Fight Club, but all his books are kind of dark and disturbing, and I like that. I'm pretty sure it's about, if you can kind of see it on the cover, because I remember having this on my Kindle, is like a model who gets in an accident and then is like kind of all disfigured, and yeah, I don't know what happens after that. I just know that that's like the premise of it. Again, another one that I feel like everyone does in English literature that I didn't, and it's also really cute and tiny, is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Again, just one I feel, a lot of these books are just books I feel like I should have on my bookshelf. Like, if I'm gonna have a home library, I'm gonna need to have To Kill a Mockingbird in it. It's like a classic, right? I got Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell because I'm kind of intrigued. I got into this mood where I was like, I wanted to read like all these great ambitious tomes of books where like the plot is like so intricate and like crazy, and I like something that I'm really intrigued in, reading things that are like really really expansive and ambitious. So I know that this follows like 6 people over a really long period of time, and that really intrigued me, and I was like, I wanted to buy as many of these kind of books as I could, so you'll see a few more of them. But yeah, this one is definitely really high on my TBR because I think it could be really cool and entertaining and intriguing. Again, another one that I just feel like I have to own on my bookshelf is The Handmaid's Tale. If you don't know about this, probably quite a good time to research about it and read it. But yeah, I just needed a copy for my bookshelf, so I got one. This is one of like 4 books in it. I want to say it's called The Queen's Cove series by Stephanie Archer. I don't know what number book this is, but this is That Kind of Guy, which is just a cute romance that I got from the Works, because the Works do amazing bundles. I have a video where I unboxed a load of them. I think it's the last video I did. So yeah, this is one of the ones I got from there. Then I have a sapphic romance because hi, I'm Meg, I'm gay. It kind of got me because I am obsessed with like sapphic celebrity romances, because your girl has been obsessed with middle-aged women and middle-aged actresses for like the most of her life. So this is For Her Consideration by Amy Spalding, which is between an actress and a writer, and this is another one I've read, congratulations to me, and it's also sapphic. This is The Adult by Bronwyn Fisher, which is tells the story of the main character Natalie, who falls for her university professor, and it's really painful, obsessive, basically a lot of ramblings of baby gay sadness, which I loved, and I think I gave it 5 stars. I can't remember, but I did absolutely love it. And I've been waiting to buy a copy of this because the only place I could find a copy was on Amazon for like £18, and it had to come from like Australia, and I was like, when I got a gift card for Christmas, I was like, okay, this is finally the time I can get this book. So I did, and I can't wait to annotate it because I love it. Even thinking about it now makes my chest hurt, like with love. The next ones are the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, which I found on Vinted for super cheap, and I have been really intrigued to get into N.K. Jemisin, so I bought them. I also really want to get into reading, because I've bought so many classics and modern classics. There's a lot of white there's a lot of white authors included in this haul, and I really want to read especially more fantasy written by people of colour. So I feel like this is a really good place to start because everyone loves this. I haven't yet to see someone who doesn't love this. So that the box set is the 5th season, the Obelisk, wow, that's really hard to say, Gate, and the Stone Sky. And I feel like I'm going to binge these, and I'm excited for it. The next one is another one I've read. Another congratulations for me, please. It is World War Z, or I guess if you're American, World War Z. I read my dad's copy, which I really enjoyed, so I needed a copy of my own. so I got one. It's kind of like it's told sort of like a diary or like a report from the future of what happened during the war against the zombies, and it's very cool and I really enjoyed it. So we have another one of the Stephanie Archer books. This one is The Wrong Mr. Right, which I feel like I'm not going to be reading out in public because there is a man's nipples on it. This is in the same Queen's Cove series and it's got a lovely pink spine and I feel like they're going to look so good on my bookshelf. Which again, is not a reason to buy a book, but like when they're like £6 for a whole bundle of 4, I'd be wrong to turn that down. I mentioned wanting to read really expansive books, really intricate books, and She's a Big Boy. This is Cryptonomicon by Neil Stephenson. So there's a book coming out that I read by Neil Stephenson which got me absolutely obsessed with his writing. It's incredibly intricate and immersive, and he ruminates on a lot of ancient history and philosophy, and it's very cool, but especially through the lens of technology and information and data, and it was very cool and I felt very clever after reading it. Basically I can't wait to read it, and it's got Pearl Harbor on the front, and I love modern history. Anything from World War II onwards is like my shit for history, so I'm super excited to get to this. I mean, it's 900 pages long and the font is that small, so like good luck to me, but like I know I'm gonna have a great time reading it. This is another one I've read. This is actually one of my favourites from 2024. I don't know if it's too late to do a 2024 favourites video. Let me know. If you still want one, I'm happy to do it. But this is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. It's her first memoir, so it goes through the first part of her life, and it is one of the most lyrical, beautiful, heartbreaking things I've ever read. I need to get the other 4 books of her autobiography and her poetry because I am just completely in love with the way she writes. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. 5 stars, read it, gorgeous. Atomised by Hulbeck, again, probably butchering his name, sorry. I've seen this when I was like looking at reading the one Hulbeck I did. I saw this one as well and I was like, that looks really interesting from the cover, which I don't even know if I'm allowed to show on YouTube. Should we do that? Let's hold it like that because everything's covered, but you know, YouTube. I was told it was really like disturbing and gross and dark. I might have made that up, but by the looks of the cover, I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's described as unhealthy and haunting, so, you know, sounds right up my street. Oh, I thought I just pushed all the books over, but I haven't. It's okay. It's okay. I survived. I survived. Okay, we have The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. I am so excited for this one. Also, look how floppy. Obsessed. This is the book that made Salman Rushdie basically have to live in hiding for however many years. They issued a fatwa against him because it was perceived as blasphemous towards the Prophet Muhammad. So, not that I don't know how to put this into words. It feels like a monumental part of British literature, and I really want to see what it's all about and why he had to why he got stabbed. He was like that. I mean, someone stabbed him just recently because of this book. I don't think it's particularly offensive. I think it's just because it uses Islam and the Quran in a way that more, orthodox Muslim countries like Iran, who called for the fatwa against him, didn't particularly like. But I'm pretty sure a translator of this also got killed. This is a really controversial book and I'm really excited to read it. We have The Year of the Flood, which is, I think, the second book in the Oryx and Cake series by, I think it's a trilogy, by Margaret Atwood, because I got really, really into feminist, post-apocalyptic it's not really post-apocalyptic, but it's dystopian after the election, the US election. I was like, I'm going to read everything I can about the worst possible scenarios, because if I read them, then when it happens, maybe I'll be prepared in some way. I would not survive the apocalypse, but if there's anything Margaret Atwood could do, it's write feminist fiction, so I'm very excited for this series. I think I still haven't found the third one in a cover I like, because all the covers on World of Books were different, but I have 2 of Elsie Silver's Cold Rush Ranch, is that what they're called, these ones? This is a photo finish, which I feel like might be the first one. They're set in a little small town. I like Elsie Silver, I like her writing, I own most of her other books. They were like £4 each, I wasn't going to say no, so. Also, the spines look super cool together. And then these two I got on Vinted for like £5, so again, wasn't going to say no to this. And I've been meaning to read them for a really long time. I feel like it's the sort of fantasy romance that I'll really enjoy. It's Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, which is like academic enemies to lovers with, I want to say magic. Sounds gorgeous, sounds romantic, sounds lovely. Cannot wait to get to these. I feel like they'd make a good reading vlog as well. I'm already running out of space for where to put these books, so... But we're starting on the third pile, so hang on. Let me move them back so I have more space. I feel like I'm going to lose my voice after filming this because I haven't filmed for so long and I'm going to be talking. I mean, we're half an hour in and I've nowhere near even halfway, so we should probably speed up. I apologise. I yap a lot. I can't help it. This is Americana DeLillo, not sure. But I bought a lot of his books because they were recommended. If you liked Neil Stephenson's books, I liked one of his books and I saw that these were like modern classics and I was like, I'm gonna scoop them up. I think he writes very philosophically about America and the West in general, and weaves it into like historical stories about people, which sounds pretty good, so yeah. I got Empire of the Sun by J.G. Ballard. This is another one, was recommended as like a historical, but like also applying historical themes to future. This one is about World War II, I'm pretty sure, and is based on his own childhood, but a lot of his other books are slightly more psychedelic and postmodern, and I'm very intrigued by postmodern fiction. This one isn't, but I was buying all of his books anyway, so I was like, why not? This absolute chunker is Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson again. I have a thing for big books. I like owning them, I like holding them, I like feeling them, I like them on my bookshelf, okay? So when I saw this and saw 900 pages of what is essentially the story of humanity's survival post a apocalyptic event, I'm pretty sure it tells the story of leading up to that event and how humanity is afterwards, and I really can't wait to read this. The next are two more of my favourite books, which I haven't even got out of the plastic yet, which is terrible, so we'll do that. Oh look, this is an unboxing vlog now. But these are Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler, who has become one of my new favourite authors, I think. I haven't read all of her work, so far it's just these two, but these two were so good that it made me reevaluate my life for about 3 weeks afterwards. They follow Lauren, who is living in America. We're kind of, it's like in a version of the future where terrible things are happening in America. There's no real human rights, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, etc. It's a kind of dystopian in that way, but it's more than just like a scary like dystopian story. It's a story about Lauren, who is sort of founding her, it's not really a religion, it's kind of like Buddhism. She calls it Earthseed. It's like all these teachings and stories, and how she keeps Earthseed with her for her whole life. We follow her survival in this one, and then we delve even more into it in this one, and I liked the second one best. I read them immediately after the election because they were recommended as like a what should I read now because I'm terrified. And it gave me a little bit of hope, but it was also kind of terrifying at the same time. But yeah, these two, highly recommend. Absolutely adore them. I got a couple of Patricia Highsmith's books because she's predominantly a crime writer, but she wrote obviously The Price of Salt, which is one of my all-time favourite books. So I've read that, and I've read the first Ripley book, and I was like, yeah, I'm interested to read more Patricia Highsmith. I'm pretty sure this follows a man who's been falsely convicted and what happens to him once he comes out of prison. Like I said, I'm really trying to diversify my reading. This is Americana by, I want to say, is it Adichie? Takes a look at race in America. We have a couple who leaves military-controlled Nigeria and move to America and London. It's supposedly really funny and warm as well, while taking a look at a really important issue. The Human Stain by Philip Roth, again, another one that I feel like I should own. Don't really know much about this, but I know I like Philip Roth because he wrote The Plot Against America, which is sort of alternate history if America headed towards Nazism during World War II, and I really enjoyed that, so I thought I'd get another one of his books. Thank you. Pages for Her was like a last minute buy on World of Books because I knew it was gay, and I love gay. That's all I know about it. Listen, if it's gay, I'm gonna buy it. The next one illustrates some of the pitfalls with World of Books because I bought Ready Player 2. I'm assuming Ready Player 1 is in the pile somewhere, but for some reason I got a hardcover, a naked hardcover with no dust jacket, so we move. It's a book at the end of the day. I've heard really mixed things. Some people really love Ready Player 1 and some people hate it, but I know that most people don't like Ready Player 2, and I'm really intrigued to read it and see why. I've watched the film, so I know the story of the first one, but I need to read the first one first. I got sent a lot of the Plated Prisoners, the first 4 books in the Plated Prisoner series, so I knew I wanted to buy the rest in this like white gold hardcover before they went out of print. So this is gold, which is book 5. It's like a fantasy romance series based on the myth of King Midas. This is another series that I needed to buy the next one in, so this is one of the sequels to The Jasmine Throne and The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. So this is the 3rd one, needed to get it, used a gift card, I was like, this is the perfect time. It's a sapphic Eastern inspired fantasy. Exciting. I loved the first one. Excited to read more of them. This is another of the Stephanie Archer ones, so this is Finn Rhodes Forever. I feel like this is the most well-known one, so this might be the first one. But these are the type of books that I can read in like a day and enjoy and have a nice time. Again, I haven't taken these out of the plastic wrap yet, but it is the full box set of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because I read Hitchhiker's Guide and I completely adored it. It was funny and silly and such a fun time, so I was like, I need the rest of them. I read my mum's copy, so I was like, I need the rest of them. So I got all 5 books by Douglas Adams, and they are The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Restaurant at the End of the World, Life, the Universe, and Everything, So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, and Mostly Harmless. And I'm very excited to binge read these because they are wonderful. I have the 2nd book of the first Crowns of Nixia duology. So as far as I know, Carissa Broadbent is writing all like a load of duologies set in the same world of like Nixia. This is The Ashes in the Star-Cursed King, which I have read. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Good for me. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really dark and kind of Hunger Gamesy, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought I would get a physical copy of it. I'm Sorry That You Feel That Way by Rebecca Waite, which is supposedly really funny, and the title just caught me, and I had it on my Goodreads want to read, and then I found it on one of the books, and I was like, I'm gonna pick that up. So I don't really know what it's about. It's got one of those like little like small covers that I hate, but I'm pretty sure it follows 2 sisters, and yeah. It says just read it, you'll see, so I guess that's what I'll do. This, another one I've read. Yay for me. This is A Room Called Earth by Madeline Ryan, which is just sort of like the musings of a neurodivergent woman. I read it right after I sort of just worked out that I was autistic. I feel like it kind of blew my mind a bit and changed the way I look at the world and myself, and I loved it. I'm pretty sure she's got a new book out really recently, so I might have to pick that up as well, but yeah, loved this. On my quest to find really dark, disturbing books, I obviously had to pick up Perfume by Siskind, which is really dark story of a murderer. That's all I know. That's all I really want to go into it. I think that cover is absolutely gorgeous. The next one looks like it's been like actually like put in a cement mixer. I don't really know why. Look at that. She's been through the wars, but she's a book. She opens and she has words in them. So we're not going to complain. This is The Name of the Rose by Eco, which is set in, I want to say like it's like medieval. The year is 1327. Yes, it is. It kind of chronicles the Middle Ages and it's very philosophical, and I really wanted to read Eco's writing because loads of people, is it Eco, Echo? I don't know. Loads of people rave about it. I found them on Reddit and I was like, I need to read this guy's writing. So excited for this one. Oh, I have another one which is Foucault's Pendulum, which is apparently very intellectual and full of literary references and puns, and I really like this cover as well. Foucault's Pendulum bridges high academicism and the tricks of popular fiction and offers to combine usually conflicting audiences. So that sounds really cool. I feel like I'll feel really clever if I read this, and like I'll be like one of the people that are like really pretentious. Kidding. I am trying to get into my pretentious classic reading era, and I guess modern classics, because this one too. So I own one book by Paulo Coelho. This is Breeder. I own The Alchemist, and despite not having read it, this is terrible. It's Susie Wolf's favourite book, so I'm saving it for like a reading vlog that I'm planning to do, but I know I'm gonna love it. I just do. You know when you look at a book, you're like, I know I'm gonna love you. So while I had the chance and they were cheap, I picked up a load more of his books. So at least I can binge them now. I got Death and the Penguin by Kirchhoff, which is supposedly like a black comedy, very funny, and there is an actual penguin involved, and I really love penguins. And I'm pretty sure it's post-Soviet, and that's a really interesting part of history for me because I studied it a lot and I find it fascinating. So I have Daphne du Maurier's Frenchman's Creek. I own Rebecca. It's another one like the Paulo Coelho book where I feel like I know I'm gonna love it. People that read the books that I love Rebecca, so I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna absolutely love her writing. So I don't really know what this is about, but I picked it up. Don't at me. This one I have read though, so like, well done to me. This is I guess it's YN, but it's Your Name, which is a really strange and haunting look at obsession and fan culture, and our main character is like in this parasocial relationship with a K-pop idol, and I read it and I was like, oh god, is this play about me? Fortunately I don't think I'm that delusional yet, but I really enjoyed how she portrayed longing and obsession, and it felt very raw, and I really enjoyed it. And again, this was one that I've been waiting to get for ages, and then when I had a gift card I was like, okay, now is the time I can get this. I loved it. Another one I've been waiting for ages to get because I love V.E. Schwab / Victoria Schwab's writing. It's Gallant. I didn't want the hardcover, and that was all I could find for ages and ages. And I'm pretty sure this is just a like YA fantasy. Looks kind of gothic. Like I said, I love V.E. Schwab, so I'm probably gonna love this. Another of the Elsie Silver, Ruby Creek. This is the front runner. As I've said with every romance book, I feel like it's easier to go into it not knowing what it's about, what the tropes are about, that kind of thing, because it just makes it more of a fun time, other than I know this is small town, sort of, I want to say cowboy-y, if it's set on a ranch. Yeah. So far I'm collecting every Brandon Sanderson book, despite the fact I have only read one. Don't at me. But Wind and Truth hasn't come out in this style of white paperback yet, with like the 2 parts, and that's how I've caught the rest of the books. But I did need Dawn Shard, so I picked it up. Overdrive by Isha Patel, which is the sequel to Off Track, which is an F1 romance. You can probably tell by the race suit. Listen, Formula 1 romance. Let me absorb it. Next, I have all the books in this series as well. I don't know why, something about it just really tickled me. Filthy Rich Vampires. So I guess it's kind of a paranormal romance. I feel like the title probably gives it away. It just sounds like it would be a really fun time. So I bought the series from the works. Severance is another one I've read. It's a little bit of a satire on the end of the world and a plague. Then I have the 2 books I was missing in the Poppy War trilogy, so the Dragon Republic and the Burning God. I started reading this one a while ago, but I think I would have to start it again. I absolutely adored the Poppy War. It was harrowing and intense and just such a cool read. I know I want to finish the trilogy, but I feel like I would have to reread the first one to really to really be able to delve into these properly, so we will eventually get to them. I think this is the last of the Stephanie Archer little like quartet of romance books. This one is In Your Dreams, Holden Rhodes. So yeah, I'll probably fly through this. Another Don DeLillo, which this is the one I'm most excited for, because this is Falling Man, which portrays stories from 9/11. So the cover is just absolutely, it's galling. It sounds like it's gonna be heartbreaking. I'm autistic, so like I've never met an autistic person that doesn't have some sort of like interest in 9/11. I find the whole thing completely fascinating. Obviously, absolutely gutting and horrendous, but also fascinating, morbidly. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. I bought a whole load of Bulgakov's books because, again, post-Soviet, I thought I have The Master and Margarita, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get them. So this is a Country Doctor's Notebook, because Soviet Russia, yeah. The Diamond Age, again, by Neil Stephenson. Are you sensing a theme? I bought like all of his books because I was so completely obsessed with this one book I read. All of his books seem to like centre around data and almost applying mythology to data. I think it's very cool. I love it. This one, I guess you'd describe it as kind of post-cyberpunk, right? Like, it's not cyberpunk, it's like past that. I think that's the genre that it is. But it's definitely science fiction, and I definitely am gonna love it because I loved his writing. So immersive and detailed and just so much fun. This is White Noise by Don DeLillo. Again, sensing a theme, right? I find one author that I'm like, I'm really interested in this author's writing, and I bought all of them. Oops. So this one, I'm pretty sure is a commentary on consumerism. What's it called when you have like, almost like the shock doctrine? I think White Noise comes from, the title White Noise comes from the idea of like overconsumption and consumerism, which, funny to be hauling this in a book haul of 150 books, because Don DeLillo would like probably wish me dead. But like to the point that everything becomes white noise because you're so overwhelmed by everything. Is that an analytical insight? Is that right? I don't know. We'll find out when I read it, but I definitely will be reading it soon. It's also super floppy, and I love a floppy paperback. These are a couple more that I got on Vinted, because I discovered Vinted and I was like, this is the best thing ever. So I got The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black because I love Holly Black, and her fairy stories are just wonderful to me. Super whimsical and fun, and I love being in this her fairy realm. I'm a fan by Sheena Patel again. I'm doing so well here. I've read this one as well. This one follows a kind of toxic affair that our main character is having with a guy, and it is really desperate and it really portrays longing very well, which again, I kind of needed to read when I read this, so I really enjoyed it. I have The Prisoner's Throne, which is, having said how much I love Holly Black's fae and the world that she creates with her fae, this is the sequel to The Stolen Heir, which I haven't read yet, so I need to get to this at some point. Took me ages to get it, to buy it, and it's going to take me ages to read it. Not like, but to get to it, but once I start reading it, I know I'm going to love it. So there's that. But I have read this one, and it was my most recent 5 stars. It's An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson, which is sapphic academic vampires. That's all I'm going to say. You need to read this. It is incredible. Even thinking about it makes me grin. I'm so excited to own a physical copy of this and to be able to annotate it. Oh, I love it so much. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're down to the last 2 piles on this side, then we've got 4 piles on this side because I have issues. I highly suggest at this point you go and get a drink or have a break. Go to the bathroom because, good lord, we're going to be here for, you know, quite a bit longer. I'm so sorry. I'm not really selling myself as a booktuber, am I? I'm like, I mean, if you've made it this far, you're probably already sold on me. So like, hi, welcome to the chaos that is this channel. But I can understand if you've clicked off by now, put it this way. Another set of books that terribly I haven't got out of the shrink wrap yet is what's this? Lilith's Brood trilogy by Octavia E. Butler, because I loved Parables. the Parable duology so much. I knew I needed to buy more of her books, and this one is, I'm pretty sure, a lot more science fiction. I think there's aliens involved. I'm very excited to get to them. This one is Osama by Chris Ryan, which I kind of am a bit like, I mentioned my fixation on 9/11. Obviously Osama is from Osama bin Laden. This, I think, is a thriller to do with his death. I don't really know. I just saw it and I saw that it was like a political kind of spy thriller, and I was like, yeah, this is up my street. I think Chris Ryan was in the SAS, so I can't vouch for how good the writing is going to be, but I was intrigued. I guess we'll find out. Another one I've read, and another one I've read that is post-apocalyptic because I have serious issues. This is On the Beach. This one is actually not that scary for a post-apocalyptic book. So this is post-nuclear war. It's kind of more of a story about hope than despair of nuclear war, which is probably quite a bad representation because I feel like you're not gonna have much hope in a nuclear war. You know, you want to be like in the epicenter. Anyway, it's by Neville Shute. It's a story of how people bonded together, and that was quite nice. But also, like, this horrific mass death event is hanging over the book the whole time. It's quite, I enjoyed it, it was clever, but I read it a long time ago, so I may reread this at some point. This is Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky. Oh my god, why can't I say it? Dostoevsky, who obviously wrote Crime and Punishment and the Brothers Karamazov. It follows a guy who basically hates society and moves underground, I'm pretty sure, and it sounds like it's going to be a really intriguing and philosophical read, and I'm excited for it. And also, it's a really good place to start, I feel like, with Dostoevsky, rather than like 900 pages. It's nice and short. I got sent the Witcher series a while back, but I never ended up buying the like prequel. This is the one you're supposed to read first. I haven't read it, but this is like the 4 prequel books, which is The Last Wish, so I picked this up while I could. I've read this one, I know, round of applause. This is Collide by Balcabra. Very spicy, it's a hockey romance. I enjoyed it. I don't remember much of. I remember it being a little bit annoying. Like, the main character was a bit annoying, but I liked the romance. It was a fun time. That's why I buy romances, so yay for this. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden by Joanne Greenberg. I'm so excited to read this. It's a fictionalized autobiography of Joanne Greenberg, and it's a look into her mental illness and her time in a psychiatric hospital, and I just think this is going to be so profound and a book that I'm going to need to read, you know, a book that feels like it would touch your soul. Because I don't own enough romance books, but I picked up a load of Elle Kennedy's books from the works a while ago, and decided I'd just buy the rest of them to like finish out the series. So this is The Summer Girl, which is the 3rd book in the like Good Girl Complex, Bad Girl Reputation series. Listen, I love a cartoon cover. I enjoyed the Elle Kennedy book I read, which was The Good Girl Complex, so why not pick this up? I Who Have Never Known Men, I read it a couple of years ago. It's by Jacqueline Hartman. It is truly incredible. I feel like I'm a completely different person before I read this and after I read this. Like, that's my life split up. It's incredibly vivid and brutal, and I really enjoyed it, and you should read it, and it's only short, so this one, amazing. I picked up the whole Millennium trilogy by Stieg Larsson. This is, I want to say, the 3rd one, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. All I know is it follows a character called Lisbeth, and Rooney Mara plays her in the film adaptation. I remember my parents reading these books when I was little, and I thought maybe now it's my time to read them and to own some copies, so I picked them up. This is Oryx and Crake, which is the 1st book in the The Year of the Flood that I showed you a while ago. This is the 1st book in that trilogy. Is there anything else I need to say? I don't know, because I'm really going to have to speed this up. I also bought Midnight's Children by Salma Rushdie because I feel like just reading the Satanic Verses would not be giving me a good idea of his actual writing. This won the Booker Prize and is, I think it's set in India. I feel like it's another one I feel like I should just have on my bookshelf. If I'm gonna have this huge home library, I need to stock it with some genuinely quite profound books, and I feel like this is one of them. This isn't, but it feels like it's one I really do need to read at the moment. It's a Sophie Kinsella who wrote Finding Audrey, which she writes mainly like chick lit, but this is the burnout. I feel like I'm constantly in burnout, although autistic burnout is a very different thing from regular burnout. But I do feel like this could be a funny and insightful read for me. This is The Discomfort of Evening, which I have seen loads of places because the cover is gorgeous. It also won the International Booker Prize. It's got a sticky sticker on it. But aside from that, I don't really know what it's about, but I picked it up anyway. Shoot me. I feel like if I'm doing the whole like great novels and like philosophical, beautifully written novels, I obviously had to pick up Stoner. I was also told it was really sad, and I love sad books because that's the only time I cry. A terrific novel of echoing sadness. So yeah, feel like this is a must read for someone who is perpetually sad. Another one that doesn't really need any explanation, I guess, but absolutely I need on my shelf is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. It's also, I found this really cool cover of it and I thought that was really pretty, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick this up now. And now the Bulgakov. See, I said I picked up a load of his work. This is The White Guard, which explores, I want to say explores the Russian Revolution and Civil War. I find Russian literature so fascinating. This is another absolute behemoth of a Neil Stephenson book. This is Quicksilver. I want to say it's the first book. Yes, volume 1 of the Baroque cycle. So the Baroque cycle is I want to say a trilogy. It's 3 massive books that I think it seems to span all of time. I don't really know. It says here it's a historical epic populated by Samuel Pepys, Isaac Newton, William of Orange, Benjamin Franklin, and King Louis. It's just this huge, it covers a huge scope of history, and I don't really know when I'm gonna get through it, but I will because I love a big book. Then I have 2 Naomi Alderman books. I have The Power, which is another sort of feminist dystopian book, and it's blurbed by Margaret Atwood. And The Lessons, which is, I want to say it's gay, but it might just be slightly homoerotic. But it's also kind of set in academia, and I liked that the covers matched, so I picked it up. Another Bulgakov, The Heart of the Dog. I just thought the dog looked really cute, and I think the dog is actually part of the story, and I therefore thought I can't not pick this up because I love the dog. I'm running out of reasons to tell you why I bought books other than just like, it felt right. Okay, this is The Mammoth Book of Alternate Histories, which has 25 short stories about different scenarios if history had gone a different way. There are several... Alternate history can kind of go 2 ways, right? You either have a really insightful look at how, you know, one choice that someone made, like the butterfly effect, could change everything in human history, and it would create a really interesting scenario. So like, I like ones, like for example, ones about like how if Kennedy survived the assassination, but then there's also another side of alternate history, which is basically just right-wing fanfiction of if the Nazis won. I don't know which way this book goes. I imagine there might be versions of both in it. But when I saw it, I thought this was really obscure. I've had it on my Kindle for ages, but I found it on World of Books and I was like, get in my basket. Okay, so this is the last stack on this side, and then we have to tackle this side. But like, we're getting there, okay? Sorry. I have another Chuck Palahniuk book. This is Damned, I think, which is set in the afterlife of a character who overdosed on marijuana, which truly, and it's described as dark as it gets. So when I want a mindfuck, I will be going to Chuck Palahniuk. We have another Naomi Alderman. This is the one I'm most excited for because this is the film. This was made into a film with Rachel Weisz and I want to say, is it Rachel McAdams? The one that's in the Eurovision film, between a Jewish woman, an Orthodox Jewish woman, and her childhood girlfriend, and apparently it's really sad, and the cover is absolutely gorgeous. It matches the other 2. I absolutely cannot wait to get to this one. American War by Omar El Akkad, which again is like a futuristic vision of a second American Civil War. Post-apocalyptic, kind of Cormac McCarthy style. Very excited to get to this. We have a J.G. Ballard again. This is the one that first really intrigued me into his writing because it is very postmodern experimental. It's called The Atrocity Exhibition, and basically it's another one of those really disturbing and unnerving books, and I thought the cover was so cool, and it's only short, so I will definitely be picking this out soon. However, it is blurbed by Will Self, who has become a bit of a right-wing grifter in the UK, so we'll ignore that. Again, I've mentioned how much I love Victoria / V.E. Schwab, and I don't own this duology yet. This is This Savage Song. I don't know what it's about. I know it's fantasy. I know loads of people loved it on BookTube back in the day, so I picked it up for cheap. These two are by Helen Huang. These, I'm pretty sure there's a third one somewhere as well. We'll see. But this is The Kiss Quotient and this is The Heart Principle, and as far as I know, these are romances where the main character is neurodivergent, which, same. So maybe I can learn something about myself from reading romance for once, which would be quite cute. Lark Rise to Candleford, I recognised the title as, I just thought, I'm going to pick this up and see what it's like, because it sounds kind of cute and endearing, and I'm pretty sure it's literally just about like country living, and it kind of, I don't know if I'm imagining this and projecting an idea of it onto it that's not true, but it kind of gives me Anne of Green Gable vibes, like an adult Anne of Green Gables. I guess we'll see. But I couldn't resist, so I picked it up. I've also read this one. I read this one while I was poorly. It's Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. It follows a golfer and his biggest fan. Can you imagine why I picked it up? Me neither. I really did enjoy it. It was a very fun time. It distracted me from the fact I felt like I was dying. It's my favourite. I read 2 of Tessa Bailey's books and I wasn't that impressed with them, but this one might have changed my mind on her because I genuinely really enjoyed it. This is another one I've been meaning to pick up for ages. It's Writers and Lovers by Lily King, which is, I think this is a modern lit fic. I don't really know what it's about. I just know that it's beautifully written and I've seen people raving about it and I wanted to have a look, and it was cheap. So I bought it. This is Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence. If you don't know what this book is, it's the one that was banned in the UK because of all the sex, I'm pretty sure. I remember learning about it in like history A level and being like, okay, I want to read that. It's taken me a while to remember that I wanted to read it. The cover is certainly pretty evocative and I am very excited to get it. Another romance. This is At First Sight, which is the only romance the first romance I've bought that has a plus size character in it. So I'm excited for that because maybe I will feel worthy of love once I've read this. We'll put this quite high up on the TBR, shall we? This is the third Helen Huang book. This is well, I don't know if it's the third one, but there are 3 books in that trilogy, so there was another one, which is The Bride Test. I don't know if they're all in like the same world or they're standalones, but I was buying her books anyway, so I picked it up. It's also blurred by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she is one of my favourite authors, so I'm not going to say no to a book that she enjoyed. This is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, which is, I think, an urban fantasy. And like I said, I really wanted to get into N.K. Jemison's work. So I feel like this is better, like an urban fantasy is a better place to start than maybe like the Broken Earth trilogy, because I get to like, oh, it's blurbed by Neil Gaiman, we'll just cover that up, but I get to like explore her writing without having to learn a whole new world first. That sounds quite fun. So yeah, we love that. We don't love Neil Gaiman. This is a movie tie-in edition of the Sweeney Todd novel, which is the Tim Burton film. So I'm assuming this is the novel that Stephen Sondheim adapted it from, and I saw that it was the movie tie-in edition, and I love the movie because Helena Bonham Carter's in it. So I will read this eventually. I have a feeling I might enjoy the book more than the movie, because I like an atmospheric horror book, but like a horror film, it's not like a scary horror film, it's like a gore horror film, I guess, but I'm really excited. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I didn't even know it was a novel first, so when I saw it I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get you. The next book is another Paulo Coelho book with perhaps the worst book cover I've ever seen. It's up there. Like, if you can think of a worse one, you're welcome to like tell me, but like that's quite something, isn't it? It's called The Winner Stands Alone. I'm still excited to read it because the words inside are the same, but my god, that's a hell of a cover. I was sold on this one because of the tagline on the blurb, which says, "How can we stay innocent in a world of excess?" And quite clearly, I enjoy excess. And other than that, I don't really know what it's about, but like I said, I just have a feeling I'm gonna love his writing, so I picked it up. I needed a final book to get a free one, to do the 3 for 4 sale for World of Books, so I picked up Next of Kin, which is just a cute little romance, I think, by Hannah Bonham Young. We've got a work sticker on the front, so I love that for me. Just sounded cute. I picked up The Beautiful and the Damned by Fitzgerald because I own Tender as the Night and The Great Gatsby and like his short fiction, and I absolutely loved his... I really enjoyed The Great Gatsby, one of the books by him that I don't have. Again, another book that was turned into a movie that I love. I love the Devil Wears Prada movie with Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep, and Lauren Weisberger wrote. I'm pretty sure there's like 6 in the series now, but I just got the first one. I think the book is quite different from the movie from what I remember hearing, but when I'm in the mood for just a gossipy little chick flick, I'm coming to this one. And then finally on this side of the room, I have Our Dark Duet, which is the sequel to This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. I thought if I'm getting the first book, I might as well get the second one in the same deal. So I did. Okay, we're on to the next side. So first one that I have is another one of the Filthy Rich Vampire ones. They're by Geneva Nee. This is the 4th one, For Eternity. I feel like I don't really need to say anything other than I own this now. I picked it up. What's the first one? I picked up the first one in this series, Belladonna by Adeline Grace, in the haul I got from the works, and then found this one on there when I went and did their Christmas sale, and yeah, picked it up. Love the cover, excited for it. If I love the first one, I can immediately move on to this one. We move. I also got from the works the series by Becca Mack. I don't know what the series is called, it's not telling me. It's the one that they all end in me, so I don't know what number this is, but this is Unravel Me, like I said. It's blurbed by Hannah Grace, who wrote Icebreaker. I love a cheesy little romance. This is the Hulbeck that I have read. It's about a guy who basically goes on a sex tourist holiday to Thailand, and the people he meets sets up a business there. It was kind of gross in a really fascinating way. It had a really cool ending. I'm not sure that Hulbeck has ever made a woman come from his descriptions of orgasm, but you know, that's not for me to judge. But I did enjoy the book, so because I read this one, I picked up a load of his other books. There's the theme that we're sensing. This is another one from the Baroque cycle. This is, I think, book 2. Yeah, no, this is volume 3 of the Baroque cycle, which is The System of the World, which I feel like is a good rounded title for like what these books follow, because I'm pretty sure he does just give us the history of the world. I don't know, we'll see. I can only imagine how many characters are involved in this trilogy, and I don't know how I'm going to keep track of all of them other than potentially by annotating, but imagine how fun annotating a book this big is going to be. I'm excited. I got The French Lieutenant's Woman by Fowles. Again, just one that's universally highly acclaimed and I probably should have on my bookshelf. If not now, when? Which I think is a tale, I think is about resistance in World War II. Let me check. Yes, by Primo Levi, and I really want to get more into World War II fiction. I'm not as interested in World War One. World War II is like where I get really interested in history, so I'm excited to read this. I bought the first book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, which is The Gunslinger. In this, I don't know what these editions are, but they're the ones I want to collect because my dad has like half of this series in like the massive hardcovers, but I've never been able to find The Gunslinger among his huge collection of books. I'm sure it's there somewhere, I just haven't found it, so I thought while I was on World of Books, I would pick an edition that I wanted to start collecting these books in, and this one. It's like pretty psychedelic and strange. It's fantasy, and I have so far enjoyed the Stephen King books I've read. I've only read standalones. I've not particularly enjoyed his endings, so I feel like a series, until we get to the last one, will probably obfuscate some of that dislike I have, but we'll see. So I'm going to be collecting these in these editions over the next however many years it's going to take me. Here is Ready Player One, which is the first book to, obviously, Ready Player Two by Ernest Cline. Like I said, I've watched the movie, so I know the story. I know some people really hate this book, some people really enjoy it as a piece of like pop science fiction. Some people think it's just so crammed full of references to the 80s that it's not really even fun anymore. I don't know, I guess we'll see when I read it, but I like the idea of being in a video game. Sounds like it would like get rid of a lot of my depression. So then I have, like I said, I got a gift card for Christmas from Amazon, and I basically bought a load of books that I couldn't justify buying with my own money, and some of these, so I have the first book of the like Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates series by Jessa Hastings, and then I knew I wanted to collect them in these massive like paperback editions, but they were so expensive and I couldn't justify it to match my first one. And then obviously I got a thing for Christmas, so I could. So I have Daisy Hates. I mean, the covers are just absolutely gorgeous, and as far as I know, these are like really gossipy, toxic, I don't know if they're romances, they have romances in them, but they're like, they just sound so rich people problems up my street. I love it. So I have Daisy Hates, I have The Long Way Home, Magnolia Park, The Long Way Home, The Great Undoing, the Daisy Hates one, and this is the chunky one, Into the Dark. And I cannot wait to read these, and I cannot wait to see how cool they look on my shelf together. Another one I've read, clap please, The Reappearance of Holly Jackson. This I read in a thriller reading blog I did on here. Really enjoyed it. It was a super fun thriller mystery. I love Holly Jackson's writing. It's super quick and witty, and her female characters are very well rounded, and I relate to them a lot, so I really enjoyed this, and I can't wait to read every Holly Jackson book she ever puts out. These are a couple more that I bought in the Waterstones sale. So I got Air by Sabbath Tahir because I've read 3 of the series that's got like the Reaper at the Gates in it. I can't remember what the series is called, I'll put it on screen. But this is a new fantasy series and it looked really cool, and the cover is gorgeous, and it was half price. So I enjoyed Sabbath Tahir's writing, and I know I'm going to at least enjoy the writing. I also got The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Leigh Bardugo is one of my favourite authors, particularly her adult works. I'm not so keen on the Grishaverse, but the Ninth House series, the 2 books that are out so far, completely obsessed. So saw this, saw the cover, immediate buy. Spectacular by Stephanie Garber, which is I think a novella set in the world of Caraval. I loved the Caraval trilogy. It was gorgeous. It was whimsy and beautiful, and it's just so much fun. And it also has illustrations in it, and it looks really fun and Christmassy, and I absolutely cannot wait to get this. But I think I'm gonna save this for December, which is a long time away, but like worth it. This is the 6th book in the Plated Prisoner series. This again is signed, which I didn't realise. This is the last book in that series, and obviously I just wanted to make sure I had the whole series before I started reading them, because that's a healthy thing to do. So this is Goldfinch by Raven Kennedy. Another little novella that's this time set in the Crowns of Nixia world. I don't know if this is directly following on from the duology, but I know I really enjoyed this fantasy world, so I picked it up. Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. I've seen mixed things about this, but it's so tiny. I was like, okay, I'm interested in this. M.L. Rio wrote If We Were Villains, which I haven't read yet, but it's kind of similar to it's a dark academia in the vein of The Secret History, so I feel like I'd enjoy it. This cover is super intriguing. We've got like a little rat boy and some fungi. Yeah, just looks like a really cool macabre horror book. I think this is the last book I got in that Waterstones order, but this is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson, which was sold to me as like dark academia in an Anne Rice style. Anne Rice wrote Interview with a Vampire, and I heard that and I was like, you could not physically tear me away from this book. This is going to be such a fun read, I feel like. I just love gothic, atmospheric fantasies, and this looks exactly like that. I have another one of the Bella Mac books. Again, just another cute romance, so picked that. That one came in the like full set. Again, another Brandon Sanderson because I have issues. This is Tress of the Emerald Sea. which is one of, I think, his Kickstarter novels. So there was like 4 books that he put on Kickstarter that were like set in the Cosmere. This one I've heard really good things about. I've heard really good things about all of Brandon Sanders's books, but this one, from the sounds of it, you can really get into it even if you haven't read any of his other Cosmere books. So I may be getting to this one sooner than I expect. One of my hyperfixations when I was younger was the Clintons. I was obsessed with the Clinton presidency, with Hillary Clinton. I picked up The President is Missing, which is like a political thriller that he wrote with James Patterson. It was like £1 on the work, so I was like, I'm not gonna turn that down. This is just the most gorgeous edition. Oh my goodness. This is The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon, which is, I think, fantasy romance. It just looked so stunning. It's got purple sprayed edges. Of course I had to pick it up. I don't really know what it's about. The Hurricane Wars, I guess we've got like weather magic maybe? But it just sounded just looked so fun. Sorry. I have the other 2 Filthy Rich Vampire books. So this is 3 Queens, which is the 3rd one, and Second Right, which is the 2nd one, funnily enough. I'm definitely going to end up binging these. They just seemed like so much fun. Consider Me, again, Bella Mac. All these covers are kind of blending into one. I don't really know how I'm going to tell the difference between them. As far as I can tell, they're all hockey romances. And I enjoy a good sports romance, so they're kind of long for romances. They're like 500 pages, but we move. I picked up Anna Huang's new book, which is The Striker, which is obviously football romance. So far I've really enjoyed the Anna Huang books I've read, so I obviously picked this one up. Now, I said I wasn't going to buy this one in my last video because I don't really care about the character that it's about. It's a kind of longer than a novella, but it's powerful, which is set in the Powerless world by Lauren Roberts. It follows Adina, who is Payden's best friend, who I didn't really care about, but it was like £2 in the sale, and I was like, if I'm gonna get an insight more into this world that might make me enjoy the third book better, or will sort of reintroduce me to the world in case I've forgotten of it by the time the 3rd book comes out, maybe it's not a bad investment. I promise we're getting there, I promise. Retrograde, another racing romance, which has the coolest sprayed edges I've ever seen. The works are really like, they're slaying with their special editions. I'm not really like a special edition buyer, but like, if there's a book with sprayed edges that's the same price as a normal book, I'm going to pick up the one with the sprayed edges. But yeah, this is Emily Carter. It is, I think, a sequel or a companion to Bloodstream. I love a racing romance. What can I say? Motorsport romance, key to my heart. Because I picked up the hardcover of, I can't remember what it's called, the 2nd book in this series by Chloe Gong. I picked up the 1st one, which is Immortal Longings. Pretty sure it's just a really fast-paced kind of fantasy vibe. Seemed fun. This is the novella because I have the 1st book in this series. I've kind of lost track of how many books Chloe Gong brought out, but I knew I needed to buy this one, which is Last Violent Call. So I did. I think I picked it up on Vinted in the end for super cheap, so it's only short, shouldn't take me very long to read. And Foul Lady Fortune, this is the companion to Foul Lady Fortune. I'm pretty sure the 3rd one's out now, but I can't really remember, and I can't really bother to look it up either, so you're welcome. I, of course, picked up the 1st book of the Crowns of Nixia duology, Nightborn duology, by Carissa Broadbent, which is The Serpents and the Wings of Night. I preferred this to the 2nd book. This one was super exciting and tense, and I really enjoyed the romantic tension between the main characters, so I highly recommend this one. And then I also picked up the 1st book in the next duology. So this duology is called The Shadowborn Duet, set in the same world by Carissa Broadbent, and it's The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I'm so sick of novels being called the and the of, you know, like I can't remember all of them. But I really enjoyed this vampire fantasy world, so of course I picked this up. And then finally for this pile, this absolute behemoth, which is House of Flame and Shadow, which I bought before I read it, hated it. I didn't hate it, I was glad I read it because it was like, I'm glad it rounded out the series and I put time into it, but I don't know if I can go on with Sarah J Maas because every series is exactly the same and nothing has any consequence. And that's all I'm going to say for now. Okay, another one I've read. You're welcome. The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Moshin Hamid, which is pretty self-explanatory. We follow a guy who has reluctantly become an Islamic fundamentalist. It was super insightful and really well written, and I enjoyed it. And I am definitely going to reread it in the future because it feels like a really important book. Another really important book that I am super excited to read, which I feel like is an absolute must in the African canon of literature, is Things Fall Apart by Achebe. We're set in West Africa, and I've just heard such amazing things about this, and on a slightly less impressive, like highbrow note, I got The Graham Effect by L. Kennedy because I needed to pick it up to add to my burgeoning collection of L. Kennedy books. This is the second one in the Millennium trilogy, The Girl Who Played with Fire. I feel like I'm really interested to read these. Once I finish the books I'm reading at the moment, I might actually start on these. I'm pretty sure they're crime novels, and I don't really read a lot of crime, but I'm really intrigued by this, and it means I get to watch the movie with Rooney Mara, so. Another Daphne du Maurier. This is My Cousin Rachel, which I feel like is her second most famous book. It's the one that I'd heard of as well as Rebecca, so maybe I'm just really thick. But I feel like all of her books have a really romantic quality to them, and this is Penguin Lost, which is, I guess, a sequel or a companion to Death of the Penguin. All I know is they're Ukrainian and penguins, and I just think I fucking love penguins, so yeah, I guess Misha the Penguin is lost. I hope that's not a spoiler for the first book. I picked up another Camus, which is A Happy Death. I have read The Outsider and The Stranger, and I really enjoy his style of writing. I think it's super reflective and absorbing, and yeah, so I picked up another little skinny Camus. The next one I'm so excited for, because this one I actually, someone bought for me, and people don't normally buy me books, so this I got for Christmas from my mum. Because as you can imagine, buying books for me must be fucking impossible because I own every book ever written, basically. That's an exaggeration. But my mum bought me this one, and I felt really excited because it's Strong Female Character by Fern Brady, who is a comedian, a Scottish comedian who has been late diagnosed with autism, as have I, and I feel like reading her experience with it will be really enlightening to me, and it just made me feel really seen getting this. Also, if you've never seen her on Taskmaster, she is so funny, so phenomenally funny, and Taskmaster is just the best TV programme on earth, and I cannot wait to absorb myself in her brain. It feels like that's a really cool place to be, Fern Brady's brain. I picked up another Graham Greene. I picked up The Human Factor. I've just heard really great things about Graham Greene's writing, so I got 2 of his books. Another cute little romance. These are definitely cowboy romances because that's giving cowboy vibes. This is Done and Dusted by Lila Say. These went viral on TikTok. They were cheap and I picked them up. It's becoming a theme, isn't it? But I have read this one, Bunny by Mona Awad. This is super weird and disturbing and just kind of mental, and I really enjoyed it, and you should probably pick it up. I picked up Dr. Zhivago because I had heard of it, and supposedly it's a great love story, and it was banned in the Soviet Union. I love the idea of reading banned books and being like finding out why people were so horrified by them. Set during the Russian Revolution again, so, and I think the cover's gorgeous, so I'm very excited to read this. I picked up a couple of Vonnegut books. This is Cat's Cradle. I am informed his books are kind of witty and eccentric, and this one is one I'd heard of, so I was like, yeah, let's read this. I'm basically trying to become really well read, if you couldn't tell, and we might get there one day. This is the Paulo Coelho book I was the most excited to buy post The Alchemist, because this is Veronica Decides to Die, which is about her really intense suicidal days, and I feel like this is perfect for when I need to read it. I'm fine, but when I'm not fine, I'm probably going to pick this up and hopefully it'll inspire something in my brain. I'm super excited for this one. Another J.G. Ballard. This is The Drowned World, which came in the same style of cover. I love it. Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. This is set in Jamaica, I think. Again, just one I've heard so many people talk about as it being a staple book in many people's collections, and I felt I should pick it up too. A Disaffection by James Calman. This I've had on my Kindle for ages. It's about a teacher who's effectively severely disaffected with his life and his rebellion against it, and I feel like it's going to be a really interesting read. Geek Love is another one I picked up from one of those threads on Reddit that's like, what's the most disturbing book you've ever read? My mum, when she saw me open this one, was like, I hated it. I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy it. It's apparently really bizarre and about like little mutant humans. It's that thing. Strange and brutal and disturbing, and I love books like that. Obviously we had to pick up the first one in the Millennium Trilogy to start the Millennium Trilogy, The Girl Who with the Dragon Tattoo. Picked up The Grapes of Wrath because who in their right mind would collect modern classics and not have The Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck. This is supposedly devastating, won the Nobel Prize. I'm very excited to read this. I feel like this is going to be gorgeous. It also is the one that looks like it's been in the war slightly from World of Books, but like, I kind of like that. I prefer when I get a good cover but it's worn, when I get a nice copy but it's a horrible cover. Because like, this means that someone's loved this book, you know. I also picked up my first Ken Follett book. I have become really intrigued, as I said, by these huge sweeping masterpieces. So I really at some point want to get to The Pillars of Earth, but this one is the one that I was most intrigued by because it is about geopolitics and the world being on the brink of a nuclear war. It's super fat. I feel like it's going to be really I feel like it's going to be super introspective and compelling, and a good place to start with Ken Follett. And if I want to read more of his books, my parents own them all, so I can just borrow theirs. Okay, we're down to the last stack, I promise. I promise. Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I don't own any of her books. I hadn't until now owned any of her books physically, but I found this one for super cheap and I really enjoyed Tristix Venom. Super toxic. Not like, she doesn't write like cozy little romances, they're like intense. I'm pretty sure this is a bully romance, which I've never read before, so I guess we'll find out what I think about it. One has a kind of funny story, at least funny to me. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. You probably know I collect these modern Penguin English Library copies of English classics. This is the only one I've never like picked up other than the ones that are like out of print and really hard to find, because I studied this at GCSE and it genuinely is one of the most traumatic like parts of my life. That's that part of my life. So the thought of ever owning this, looking at it again, made me feel sick, but I feel like I've worked past that in therapy now, so I picked it up to add to my little collection of all these books. Another one that like you can't really be a book collector and not own is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I love this cover of it. I feel like people either really love this or hate it, and it depends. I feel like that depends on how. I feel like this depends on whether you studied it for English literature again or not. I didn't, so I might enjoy this more than I would have at age 13. Who knows? This is the Neil Stevenson book I bought that absolutely blew my mind and made me want to buy every single one of his books. It's Snow Crash, set in the very future in cyberspace. We have a whole rumination on language and linguistics, and it was just so cool, but also very action-packed. And if it's any indication of the rest of his books, I'm gonna absolutely love them. Put it that way. This one I've also read. This one is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This one blew my mind. I've never read really paranormal romances other than like Twilight. So I've read a couple of vampire romances, I guess, but this is... plot was brilliant, the romantic tension was there. I read this in like one sitting. I really enjoy Ali Hazelwood's books. I'm aware they're not the most well written. This one I really enjoyed because it was so different to the rest. All her other like romances tend to be in the same kind of vein, the same kind of structure and style. This one was very different and I really liked it, and I hope she writes more paranormal romance. This is the other Lila Sage book, Swift and Saddled. Little cowboy romance fun time. I guess I'm gonna be swooning over cowboys now. My only experience of like being attracted to cowboys is when Daniel Ricciardo dressed up as a cowboy when they went for the US Grand Prix one year, so maybe it'll evoke notions of that in my brain. I read Brave New World in a vlog a while ago, and I found this cover of Island by Huxley in the same kind of style, and because I loved that so much, Brave New World so much, I thought this would be a perfect next book by him to read. I kind of assume it to be another like dystopian philosophical look at humanity and civilization, but maybe I'm wrong. And like I said, there's probably no better time to be reading dystopia than right now, because like we're kind of moving into it, so I picked that up. Another one that I've heard of and it felt like a real like tour de force literary fiction, that is Bel Canto by Anne Pratchett. It's supposedly super suspenseful and I'm pretty sure there is kind of political plot in there because, yeah, unfortunately their intended target, the president. I love anything that involves some kind of like coup or plot that involves a head of state. Does that make sense? I don't know. But everyone who's read this seemed to enjoy it, so here it is now in my bedroom. The sequel to A Good Girl Complex, Bad Girl Reputation. I guess we're following the friend of the romance in the first book. Like I said, for some reason I'm now collecting every L. Kennedy book, so I picked this up. And again, I'm also collecting every Elsie Silver book. This is definitely the first one in this series, Off to the Races. I don't know why it's giving me skiing vibes, but I don't think it is because there's a golf club on the cover. So, but when I'm in the mood for some romance fun, like tomorrow on Valentine's Day, this will be one I pick up. This one I've seen everywhere, and again, literary fiction, but this is quite recent, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a look at social media. It began as a list of anonymous allegations about abusive men. Now it's been published online. Yeah, so this sounded super intriguing. By Yomi Adekoge. The list, the cover, I was like sold on immediately. So that's fun, yeah. This is the second book in the Baroque cycle, which I picked up, obviously. I'm obsessed with the way everyone blurbs this. Like the tagline on the front is "this weird, wonderful collision of scholarship and storytelling." Like that just sounds so beautiful to me. Pretty sure this one is, so the third one is like in the 1700s, and this is like 1600s to then. I've never really read like historical fiction like that. Usually it's the only historical fiction I'm interested in is like modern history, like I mentioned, but I am very excited to branch out. I apparently picked up another Graham Greene. I don't remember buying half of these, but I picked up The Heart of the Matter. I don't know really what this is about other than Scobie is the main character. But I feel like classics are better going into blind because then you get to like experience it for the first time. And a lot of classics everyone knows the like plot for, so you don't really get that surprise. I'm waffling now because I need to justify the fact that I bought this book without knowing anything about it. This one I'm really actually am very excited for. It's written by Colette and it is called Cherie. I think it was originally written in France, and we follow a woman who is having a love affair with like a younger man, and then how they have to split up. But the blurb says I feel more alive when I read her, so that combined with this cover, yes please. Oh my god, another Graham Greene I didn't know I'd bought. Apparently I did. This is Brighton Rock. I've definitely heard of this one, but I still don't really know what it's about. I actually need putting down like an animal. I guess we're set in Brighton. This one's described as a thriller, so hopefully very fast paced. I guess I've got a lot of Graham Greene to read now. I hope I like his writing. Someone who I do like the writing of and have already read 2 books by him this year is Orwell, so I picked up Coming Up for Air, which is a very strange cover, but yeah, like I said, I love his writing. This was written before Animal Farm and 1984, I think, so you can kind of see the seeds of those books beginning in this book and his attitudes towards ideology and politics, and I'm excited to read more Orwell. I feel like I can never get enough Orwell. I picked up One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich because it is about Russia under Stalin, and it's apparently very harrowing and a very important book to read to understand Stalinism and that period of Russian history, which I feel like is going to be very reflective of modern Russia. It'll be interesting to draw the parallels between them. I also apparently picked up For 2,000 Years by Mikhail Sebastian, which follows a Jewish student, and I am pretty sure tackles anti-Semitism at a time when anti-Semitism was at its absolute peak in Europe during like the 1930s. So this could be a very thought-provoking book. Slightly less highbrow, I guess. I picked up the sequel to Assistant to the Villain, which is Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mehra, which I enjoyed the first book. I loved the little toad guy. There he is at the top. He was my favourite character, and I didn't realise that this was going to be a series. I thought it was going to be like a fun standalone fantasy romance, but it definitely wasn't all resolved, so I'm excited to delve into this one. Series that I needed to like finish and get like the last book of, so I picked up Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick, which is the Rook and Rose series. I for some reason just refused to have read these without owning all 3 of them, because I feel like I'm going to binge them. They just seem like super atmospheric, mysterious fantasies, and I am really excited to read it. And now I own, I think it's a trilogy. I guess we'll find out if they put another book out, but yeah, should be fun. I picked up the final book in the, I don't know what this series is called, but it's like the vampire Renee Ahdieh series that starts with The Beautiful. This is The Ruined. I have them all in hardcover. I was like, I've got to pick this one up, they've got to match. Now they do. We have another Brandon Sanderson, of course we do. This is Defiant, which is the 4th book of the Skyward series. This man needs to slow down with his writing because I don't have the money to keep up. But these are YA sci-fi, so I don't think they're set in the Cosmere, but they do sound super interesting and exciting. This is the last book, so now I own all 4 and I can read them. And the final book, yeah, I know, we finally made it, is an ARC I got sent by Bloomsbury, which I am so excited for. It's 3 Lives of Kate K, which is sold to me, it's already out, it came out in January. I really should have read it before, but it was sold to me as similar to Evelyn Hugo. We follow a writer and her secrets, and I have a feeling it is going to be a super quick, impactful read, and I'm very excited, and thank you to Bloomsbury for sending that to me, because I'm usually terrible at replying to ARC offers and offers of copies on my emails. I'm so awful, but I love being sent unprompted ARCs because it makes me feel like a proper booktuber, which I'm not. If you haven't realised that by now, of listening to me ramble for like 2 hours about books, clearly not the greatest of booktubers, but I do buy a lot of books. So there you are. That's all of the books I bought in the last couple of months. It's about 170. I don't have any space on my bookshelf for them, but I bought them anyway. I am so sorry that if you've come all this way, why? But also, thank you. I appreciate your support a lot. This time it might be worth subscribing because I am trying to like get into a real upload schedule. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe. Correct me on my facts of any of these books, because quite frankly I am aware I'm not I don't know much about them, and I just bought them because they filled a void in my heart. And I will see you in the next video when hopefully I have stuck to my book buying ban and haven't bought any more books. Bye.